Hello and welcome to Walt's Manga Update for the date of April 16th, 2012. I'm your host, Walt, and before we get started, I want to mention something. You know that little series, St&rs? Hasn't really been running that long. Yeah, that ended. That ended this week, as announced on the 11th in the table of contents. Last chapter being this week. Sadly, though, the last chapter hasn't been translated into English, as the St&rs translations have been rather slow. They really have, which is a shame, because I would have loved to keep up with this series and maybe talk about the final chapter today, but oh well. I'll keep reviewing the chapters, and eventually we'll get to the end, hopefully. So, until then, we have some bigger series to fry, and I mean that quite literally with today's starting manga. Naruto, number 582, Nothing. Oh, god damn it. Where do I begin with this chapter, folks? Okay, so, first off, we start out with Kabuto bringing the entire cave to life, which I gotta admit, would be cool, except he just kind of does it all of a sudden, like apparently, now he's God or something, he can control inanimate objects, and they're like, wait, didn't you have to put people's souls into them before you could do that? Like, wasn't there, prep time you had to do? But no, apparently, he's just becoming more and more like God as time goes on. Itachi and Kabuto share some banter, and then we get to what I have to basically rage about. We get to the Kabuto flashback. That's right, folks. Kabuto needed his own flashback. I just have one question, and I can't be the only one asking this. I simply can't. Why? And you want to know, the worst part about it is, it's the most cliched fucking flashback I have ever seen. Like, it's so lazily written. Basically, what happens is, he's taken in by this nun who takes in orphans from the war, and, he's basically brought in, and everyone accepts him almost immediately. They're all having fun with him, and then late at night, a couple more people are like, we can't afford to take another child, and he walks out, and they think he's dumb because he can't read a clock, or he hasn't learned it yet, and then he can read the clock because the nun gives him his glasses, and those are the glasses he's been using since he was first introduced. And of course, while all this is going on, it's like, my glasses were my tool, my name was my trade. Since the beginning, I had nothing, even though he was so happily looking at the nun, and she was looking back, which was honestly the most predictable goddamn thing you could have done. It was the most predictable fucking thing. Because now we're gonna go into some sad backstory that's gonna show everything he loved getting destroyed around him, and him getting basically adopted by Orochimaru because he has nowhere else to go, and how he's done all these bad things so he couldn't return to the life he once knew. Blah, 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 frickety blah. It's all the same crap at this point. It really is. But you know what? You know what bugs me the most about this flashback? It's the fact that the author thinks we care enough about Kabuto to actually warrant a flashback. I mean, okay, you want to know how I view Kabuto? I view him as basically a bad guy, a big bad guy who is going to die. He's gonna die, because let me tell you something, Naruto has basically become the most predictable series in the whole fucking world. All of you out there, anyone who reads Naruto can tell me how this series is going to go all the way to the end of this series. In fact, I will tell you all right now. I will tell you how this series is going to go from now until the very end. Okay, folks, here we go. And watch this, folks. I'm going to spoil this whole fucking series for you. Sasuke is gonna kill Kabuto with the new broken eye power, and then and here's how Kabuto's gonna die, too. I want to guarantee this. Kabuto is going to stare at the glasses given to him. He's gonna think of that nun, and he's gonna let loose one tear before he dies. Watch. I promise you that is what's going to happen, because it is the most cliched fucking thing in this whole series that he can do. And meanwhile, Naruto's gonna fight Toby, and then one of two things is gonna happen, because I'm not exactly sure which of these is gonna happen. Sasuke is gonna have some revelation through talking to Itachi that realizes he has to fight Toby with Naruto, and they're gonna fight him, and then he's gonna die, and then or he's not gonna help him, and just Naruto alone is gonna kill Toby, and then Naruto and Sasuke are gonna have this big fucking clash, and whoever fucking wins, we all lose, because instead of having what used to be an enjoyable series with a diverse cast of characters that we all enjoyed, it's stuck to these two needlessly popular characters. And you know what? We have no one to blame but ourselves, because we're the ones who said, oh, but we love Sasuke because he's the cool dark type, or we like Naruto because, well, he's the hero of the series. He's the name of the series. We need to like him. And it's really our own fault, because we've shown this author that all he needs to do is write about these two characters and he can make this a popular series, when really all he's doing is writing perhaps the laziest fucking most cliched story in all of manga, almost. All of manga. The only thing worse than Naruto is a Naruto ripoff at this point. Or possibly Bleach, but that's for a whole different reason. Because, honestly, I don't think I cared about that series to begin with, so I don't think I'm the person to talk about how Bleach has gone downhill. But I did care about Naruto. Naruto was one of the first animes I ever started watching. It's one of the first manga I ever started reading. I cared about this. I cared about the characters. I enjoyed the story. And to just see it have decayed so much, it's sad, really. It's really sad. So there you go. That's not only my review of this chapter, that's my review of this fucking series. It used to be good. It used to actually be a very well written, very enjoyable story. But ever since we fucking let it become a story about Sasuke and about Naruto, and we pretty much secluded every other character, kind of pushed them to the back, to the point where they only get like 1 or 2 pages a chapter every now and again. That's why this whole series sucks. It's because, really, it's just forsaken everything that did make it a good series. Bleach, chapter 488, Bond Behind Blast. So apparently those 3 chicks from the end of the last chapter, they're supposedly 3 of the best fighters in all of Hueco Mundo, and they all get beaten off screen. Yeah, they all just get beaten off screen. There you go. So now it's up to Ichigo to beat this captain guy, and did you see anything else coming? Did you really think Kubo was going to take the time to actually establish other characters as being relatively useful and let Ichigo actually sit a fight out? Well, okay, maybe Bleach is a bad example, because they did have, I think, a year of chapters where Ichigo was not involved in fights, so fair enough, this series does have its little diversities here and there, but still, just the way this arc has been going, Ichigo has had to do everything. No one is up for beating these guys. It's almost pathetic. God. But anyway, so another thing that happens this chapter is, due to reports based on the raid on Soul Society, we finally find out that it was in fact the Quincy that attacked Soul Society. Didn't we all find this out at chapter 480? Okay. To be fair, the only people that it was revealed to that the Quincy were attacking Soul Society was the audience. So no one in the story knew that it was the Quincy, but everyone who actually reads the manga knew it was the Quincy. Doesn't that make that a bad reveal then? Anyway, this chapter Nothing happened. Like, I was actually hoping for an actual fight scene, and we didn't get one, folks. They actually just skipped completely over the fight scene. And now, next chapter, we're gonna get to see Ichigo fight, and that's it. That's Bleach for you. That's all I got to say. One Piece, chapter 663, CC. Okay, here's a pop quiz question for all you One Piece fans. Sanji and Nami's body is the most obvious fucking joke this series could have made. Does it make it any less awesome? Oh, hell nah. This is fucking great. So anyway, this chapter, what happened? Well, the Luffy and his crew meet up with Trafalgar Law, and Luffy feels he's indebted to him, but of course, Law's like, I just saved your life because I felt like it. Get the fuck out of here. But not before doing the same move that he used on Nami and gang on Smoker and Tagashi. I'll let that sit there for a moment while I explain the rest of the chapter. So Luffy meets up with the rest of his crew and finds out that they've all switched places. And of course, the best scene is when just Sanji is loving every second of being in Nami's body, and Nami and Frankie's body goes to kick his ass. That is hilarious. So the chapter ends with Smoker and Takashi discussing exactly how are they going to get back into their normal bodies, and I gotta love that Smoker and Takashi's body is still puffing on a giant fucking cigar. Like, Takashi didn't just smack the fuck out of him for trying to do that. That's honestly, that was really weird, actually. Like, you think smoking would be bad for a swordsman. I mean, Zoro doesn't smoke, so I don't know why, but I always say Zolo because that's how I heard it when I was watching the actual dub here in America when I was young. So I just get them both confused all the time. But anyway, so overall, I'm sorry. Before I say my thoughts on the chapter, one big thing happened I need to talk about. We're finally revealed the name of our great and powerful enemy of this round. It is the mass murder genius, Caesar Clown. That is such a One Piece villain name. Caesar Clown. It sounds so fucking menacing, and yet so stupid at the same goddamn time. And so far, all we've seen of Caesar Clown is just he's a puff of fucking smoke. Probably poisonous smoke, if I had to guess. But anyway, so, what did I think of this chapter? I think it was fucking great. I always enjoy One Piece. And, you know, here's the thing. Like, because I've had people say, well, you're just a One Piece fanboy. I enjoy One Piece the most because, well, they have better writing. I mean, seriously, if you compare Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach together, One Piece is the superior writing, the superior character development, the superior characters in general, use of its characters, use of its artwork. Like, overall, One Piece is the superior manga to all three of the big shonens. I'm sorry. It is. So overall, this was a great chapter to a great series. Reborn, chapter 381, Together. So, the big thing about this chapter is it was basically a chapter that showed off how Team Verde and Team Reborn work so well together, as each of them are able to complement each other's moves. Let's see, the one guy, I believe his name's Ken, the guy who uses the channels, uses Kong Channel to throw 10 times as many of Gokudera's dynamite. And then there's a combination attack of Yamamoto and Chifune? I cannot remember these guys' names. Basically, the guy with the yo-yo, they both use a combination attack to pin down the enemy team, while Sune and Mukuro use a combination attack of the X-Burner Stream and corpse-eating crows, exploding corpse-eating crows, to pretty much... All they do to these guys, amazingly, is basically rip off their hats and cloaks to reveal perhaps the creepiest imagery in this series thus far: zombies with pacifiers around their necks. And that's what the chapter ends on. Overall, not a bad chapter, nothing really praiseworthy. It was interesting to see former enemies fighting on the same side, but Oh, that's about it. The cliffhanger at the end was okay, nothing too big. Overall, just a very basic action chapter. Fairy Tail Chapter 279, The Gateway Hidden in Darkness. So, okay, the big thing about this chapter, well, actually, I think I should build into it. So, the first part of this chapter is, they're talking very much about why Raventail wants to kidnap Lucy. However, we all know that it's all a ruse set up by this guy working for the king. And as we find out at the end of the chapter, he's doing it to invoke Eclipse, apparently a forbidden gateway, that actually I wanted to do some research on, so I went to the Fairy Tail Wiki to see if I could find anything, but I couldn't find anything on Eclipse, so this might be its first time, being shown or not. Not exactly sure, but I do know one thing, and that is they want to sacrifice Lucy's life in order to activate it, and that ain't cool. But that's not the highlight of this chapter. It's not. The highlight of this chapter is that for Fairy Tail B's team, they send out Mirajin against another rather attractive woman, and rather than a fight, they have a modeling contest. I don't know what to say. I really don't. Like, I feel Hero's kind of making up the rules as he goes along as it is, but that was... So yeah, did I like this chapter? Yeah, it was an alright chapter. I mean, okay, I can't knock it for doing a chapter on fan service when really it has been about the tournament up till now. I do kind of wish it didn't exist, though, but overall, it was alright. Bakuman, Chapter 175, release date in the night before. This was a pretty big chapter, and let's just start right from the beginning where they're talking about the comic sales of the last 2 volumes of their manga, where, of course, right before the manga's released, they sell out of the rest of their volumes, so of course they need to sell a bit more just to beat Edgy in the comic sales, as well as they've beaten him in the rankings. And they're able to do it. They get to 1.22 million, whereas Edgy only sold 1.20 million. Of course, since Zombie Gun's gonna keep going, I assume he's gonna surpass that very quickly, but what the hell, a win's a win. Even Edgy acknowledges this is a win, telling them that he will continue to make more manga and will always beat them. So overall, that was actually a pretty, that's good to know that they're still going to be rivals even after the series might end, which, actually, there have been rumors that, Bakuman's going to end, very soon, and, yeah, it feels right. It feels right, to say the least. And anyway, to, kind of verify that, there were a bunch of, like, little 1 or 2 panel images of some of the characters from the series, kind of, enjoying their own love life. Fukuda and his assistants are on some blind dates to try and meet some women, and of course they mock them for being mangaka, which is kind of a douche thing. Aokio and Hiramaru, they're of course planning their wedding because now they're getting married, and Hiramaru's no longer sad, and his editor is still like, you have to work on your manga. But I'm planning my wedding, you have to work on your manga. Even planning to follow them to their honeymoon. Oh dear. And of course, the night before the anime airs, apparently Mashiro has some plans, as he found a notebook of his uncle's, and he plans to do something that's listed in there. It is going to be so romantically cheesy. I know I'm gonna love it. I really do. So overall, a good chapter, and if the series does end, honestly, I think it should. I think it feels right to end here. Nisekoi, Chapter 22, Hot Springs. So, basically, the only big things that happen this chapter is, at the beginning, when, of course, Kurosaki and Ichigo not Ichigo, Ichijo's mind's going to overdrive over the whole, wait, Ki, Scar, what? Anyway, sorry about that. And the second thing that happens is that at the end, Claude has come to Claude has made his way to the hot springs as well, and is trying to ruin Ichijo's social life, as it were, trying to ruin him by tricking girls into going into the boys' bath so that he'll be humiliated. What he doesn't realize is Kirasaki is a girl. You see the stupidity here, I hope. Overall, it was a rather bland, boring chapter. Nothing really of interest happened. Next chapter, though, could be funny if handled properly. Kenichi, chapter 470, Checkmate. Jinazet has Akira on the ropes, causing him to dodge every single attack or else he'll be killed. Finally, unleashing such furious attacks that the only way to dodge is for Akira to dislocate his arm and his leg just to escape the grips. All seems lost for Akira. And then chapter ends. Yeah, the thing is, this is a very visual fight. Very visual chapter. Nothing really to explain. It's all a bunch of flips, tricks, fights, punches, kicks. All stuff you really need to see in order to really get. Oh, personally, I think it was fucking awesome. It is fucking awesome. This is a great fight. Really, that's all I got to say. Toriko, chapter 183, The Power of Food Honor. So, the training begins with a fight between the assistant master of the Shokurin Temple and Toriko. Okay, Toriko lets loose a flurry of attacks, but of course the guy's able to dodge. And so finally he gets serious, throwing out more and more attacks with the fork and knife, but he still misses. And finally asking, well, why aren't you attacking? And the assistant master says, oh, but I am attacking, as his shirt and the slight beard he was growing is cut. His technique, petty knife. Not nearly as sharp, but enough to cut the shirt right off of Toriko's back. And that's very proven. That's proven, actually, as the next time, after a little time skip later in the battle, we see that Toriko no longer has his shirt. I really hope it's the opponent's fault and not just because he decided, I am a man! Rip his shirt off. Because that would be stupid. And so, Toriko gives up, realizing that he does not have the strength to continue on, having used so many of his techniques so fast. And the assistant master explains that with food honor, he can use his techniques more quickly with less calorie consumption. I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember all the terminologies of this series. And we end the chapter on a battle between Komatsu and, of course, the assistant master, once again, who can basically cut up a head of lettuce faster. And, of course, the assistant master wins again because Komatsu doesn't know food honor as well either. And so that's the chapter. This is going to be a fucking awesome arc. No, I'm serious. This is going to be fucking awesome. All this food honor shit. Dude beat Toriko without hitting him once. That's awesome. The World Gonly Knows, chapter 185, Shadow City. So, with Ayumi waiting right outside the Vintage headquarters and Vintage searching the entire city for these two, or really three people, Kima, Chihiro, and Ayumi, with Haku battling off Vintage, and apparently Vintage getting hurt is the same as Belle from Reborn getting hurt, as causes her to go completely bat-fucking-sane. Yeah. And of course, this is another chapter drawing out this inevitable conclusion. I apologize. And you know, I had a friend say, oh, there's no way they're going to stall this any longer. Bitch, please. There's a fight scene going on. That can last a whole chapter if the author wants it to, with one page left at the end to show Kima arriving at Ayumi's destination. I can see this coming, folks. Who thinks this is going to happen next week, huh? Let me know in the comments. Beelzebub, chapter 152, Lost. So we finally get our first little inklings of a fight. We think we're going to see a little something awesome, you know, between Tojo and Aiba, and it's going to be awesome because they're throwing punches and they're able to block and counter each other, and then interrupted. And then we go to Hajime's niece getting lost, and then something actually interesting happens. They get kidnapped. And so now Tojo and Hajime have to fight off a whole bunch of delinquents, and apparently next chapter is the end of this arc, and I pray to God we see some action. We see something worthwhile from this fucking arc. I have not been the biggest fan of this arc, mainly because I don't find it funny. I don't. I want to see an action scene from this. I want to see Oga and the other guy at least go toe-to-toe. The other guy being Aiba. This is a comedy series first, I know, but god damn it. Detective Conan, chapters 812 through 814. 3 fucking chapters this week. Fuck. If I was over with that. Anyway, luckily, I don't really want to talk about the case, because, to be honest, the case, it was fun, it was quirky, but not really worth talking about. Basically, Kudo's father said that the death symbol next to somebody written in blood will never appear again, and then 10 years later it does appear again through weird circumstances. Of course, I don't reveal the ending to cases, so you want to go see it. It's only 3 chapters, you can read the whole fucking case. What I do want to talk about is this stupid fucking Bourbon bullshit that we've been going through since, what? I think now it's been 14 chapters. Okay, so one of the big things that happened was apparently like, okay, so Subaru never shows his neck. Oh, but we saw his neck, and the detective gave it a weird look. Not Conan, the other one. I forget her fucking. Hang on, I've got my fucking paper here. Let me see. Her name was Sarah. There we go. Sarah sees his neck and gets that weird, ooh, what did you do? Look, you know, that Conan always gets when looking at the criminal. And so, next chapter, and I love this, Subara sees Conan talking on the phone using the bow tie to change his voice into Kudo. And so now he knows, the kid's secret. So if he's Bourbon... Bourbon! Fuck! If he's Bourbon... then Conan's fucked. He's definitely fucked. So here's hoping he's not Bourbon. I keep fucking saying Bourbon. It's Bourbon. Fuck's sake. And of course, it ends with saying that it's gonna be revealed next week. Fuck's sake. I hate Detective Conan when it does this. It just keeps stalling and stalling and stalling and stalling. The cases are fine, but it bugs me when you fucking gotta stall out the story stuff just for more filler. Baby Steps, Chapter 92, Step. And so, with nothing else to do but train and train and train, Maro, with the encouragement of his coach, decides to ask Takuma, it's one of those two, for a rematch. And when asking, why do you suddenly want a rematch? Maro explains, it's because I don't know if I can beat you, but goddammit, if I'm gonna be a pro, I've gotta fucking try. And Takuma says, yeah, why not? It's been a while since I got to kick your scrawny ass. And that's basically the chapter. Feels so fucking good when I can look at a chapter of Baby Steps one at a time. Overall, I did enjoy this chapter, and I think I'm going to enjoy the match coming up. I'm sorry. Overall, it was a good chapter because I just like how Takuma had to ask Maro why was he going to challenge him, because before it was just because he was the only rival he had. He just wanted to best him. And Takuma refused because he wanted to learn, you know, that there are more people out there that he has to beat. And so now he just wants to face Takuma to see just how far his skills have grown. So overall, good chapter. Very good. And the conclusion to Shaman King 0, with what was supposed to be, or at least what I thought was going to be, Choco Love's chapter, but in fact it was a chapter to all of Hao's minions. I don't know what to think of this chapter. It wasn't funny, it wasn't entertaining, it was just random, out there, weird. So weird. It was just basically showing all of Hao's minions living off the land for 5 years before the Shaman King games, and fuck did it make no sense. Fuck did it really make no sense. So yeah, that's the end of Shaman King Zero. What I think of it as a whole? The first 4 chapters were interesting, and the 5th one kind of sucked. I still don't like the 2nd chapter. I really don't. Stars, Chapter 23, Awakening. So like I said before, Stars has officially ended. Shame, but oh well. They all can't be winners. And, of course, this is actually very far from the end, but Chapter 23, Awakening. So, Mao wakes up. M-A-H-O. I have no idea how to pronounce that other than Mao. Mao! Whatever. So Mao wakes up and immediately starts drawing what he believes in his head to be the construct that the aliens are building, even things that have not been built yet. Also, the other girl, the one who can apparently use sound, I believe, starts doing something else weird. It's all just weird, symbolic powers, all creepy. I don't know what's going on. It does feel like this plot is immediately moving into overdrive because they know their series is done for. Which is fair enough, because I think the biggest problem with Stars was that it was written with the intent that it would go on for years. It would be years, because why else would you spend so long on just trying to get into this school if you weren't planning for this to be just a monumentous series that would go on forever? Like something of Naruto or even Bleach's length at that point. So the rest of Stars is currently looking for the 3rd child, who I believe has the power of memory, was the correct terminology from the chapter. And yeah, overall I can see why it was cancelled. It's starting to feel rushed. I have no fucking clue what's going on. Overall, it was alright. Nothing special, just alright. And that's it for this week's Walt Manga Update. Thank you all so much for viewing. If you enjoyed what you heard here, go ahead and subscribe up there. Go ahead, leave a comment what you think in there, and hey, remember, keep on reading.